All right, so we're starting the stream right now. Let's see if it comes through, if it goes live. That's the first step. Great. It looks like we're live and working. It would be good to see some reactions in the chat room. Can everyone hear me? Let's make sure it's all working fine. We're actually doing our very first online workshop at the moment, and we're super excited to be with you. And yeah, looking forward to it. But while we wait for various people to come, I'm doing a poll. What is your number one source of booking? So let's just say you run a tour business or potentially even accommodation business. What is your number one source of bookings? Is it your website, travel agents, online booking sites, coupon websites, local accommodation, local sales office, or other? Just going to wait to see some answers on this as we just wait for everyone to show up who needs to be here. Just put your answers into the chat box. Awesome. So we have some answers coming through. Online sales. We have phone calls to the sales office and the website. That's excellent. Welcome, Julio. Online booking sites. And obviously some people not yet trading. But all right, so we have a little bit of variety there. I'll give it a couple more minutes and then we're going to get live. So yeah, TripAdvisor is a huge source of bookings for many people. And it's funny. It's something that a lot of people get wrong. One thing that I think the most basic tip that I always give to anyone with TripAdvisor is that you have to respond to all of your reviews. TripAdvisor's own research on accommodations says that people who respond to all of their reviews are up to 24% more likely to receive a booking inquiry through TripAdvisor. And not only that, you're more likely to receive higher reviews, higher ratings, I should say. And the reason for that is if people know that you're responding, it means they know you're actually actively checking and reading your reviews. So they're less likely to say something negative about you, because it's just like you're more likely to say something negative about someone behind their back instead of saying it to that person in front of their face. And exactly the same way it works on TripAdvisor. So people see that you care about the business, people that see that you're responding, and also people are less likely to leave negative reviews. So it actually works out really well. So cool. And so a few people mentioning TripAdvisor through the website. Generally, polls show that for about 60% of operators, the website is the number one source of sales. Cool. So we have a few people online. I think I'm going to get started, and hopefully we'll have some other people join us as well. I'm not going to be looking at the chat anymore. We'll get to that at the end of the presentation. So before we dive in, what is Tourism Tiger? Well, we build super affordable websites for tourism businesses that never go out of date. And I'm the founder of Tourism Tiger. We are based in Santiago. Here's a photo of our lovely team. And yeah, there's 5 of us here in Santiago, and we have 2 in Europe, actually. So I'm sure you'd agree that this is a very good looking bunch, and I'm very proud to be working on this project with this team. You can see me, I'm on the very left there, and the rest of the team there in our shared co-working space in Santiago. So yeah, just 1 second. I'm just going to turn off one thing before we continue. And a few notes before we dive into the content. Firstly, we're going to provide a resources page after this webinar that's going to have some instructions. Plus, we're also going to include a link to the slides. Next, these tips are only really useful if you have your website to log in order to be able to edit your content. We have some pretty ninja stuff coming, actually, so I hope you enjoy that. There's some tips that we're going to be giving on this presentation that I've never seen around on the internet, so hopefully you enjoy that. Also, for those people who stay all the way through, I've got a free gift, which is actually my book. It's $15 on Amazon, but it's available to download for free. And looks like we've got a bit of an issue with the presentation there. People can see me rather than the actual presentation. I'm not sure why that is happening. Let's see how we go. Let's just fix that. And well, I hope you enjoy my lovely face right there. Smiles. Sorry about the little glitches there. Just obviously the first time we've done this. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep an eye on the video stream, make sure it actually starts working. Oh. All right. So from what I can tell, the glitch should be over now. Just gonna wait just for a couple of seconds to make sure that shows up on other people's screens. I've got someone sitting next to me. Looks like we're good to go. Okay. So just to give people a bit of an idea of what's going on here, there is a slight time lag between the video and what I record and what shows up on other people. So there was a bit of a gap there. But okay, let's dive straight into this and let's go. So I want to ask you a question. How many bookings do you get for every 1,000 visitors to your website? Is that a number that you even know? It's actually a crucial number that every business owner should know. Every website has a different figure. Even if the design is exactly the same, even if you're in the same city, because there's 4 main factors that each contribute to this. The first one is your value proposition. So how attractive is the actual thing that you're selling? This is the most important thing. So let's just say you're selling jet ski trips for $2. You're going to get a lot of people buying that, even if your content is bad, your website sucks, and you're getting really crappy visitors to your website. The next factor is the content, and that is what we're going to be covering today. So the content of your website relates to the images you have, the videos, the text, all that kind of stuff, and it makes a huge difference to your sales. The next one is website build quality, and that's what we do at Tourism Tiger. We try to give you the best build quality possible on a website. Loads fast, works well on mobile, optimized for SEO, all that kind of stuff. The fourth thing that a lot of people don't talk about, but which is also very important, is the concept of traffic quality. So if you're getting a lot of visitors from sources that are not relevant, for example, one of our customers has a blog about bikes, and he gets a lot of visitors from all over the world for people just wanting to read about bikes. They're not interested in going on a tour with him. So obviously a pretty low percentage of actual visitors to his website book, because a lot of them just looking at bike reviews. So the actual quality of the traffic and the relevance of the traffic will contribute to that as well. So I'm going to be going through 10 tips for how to convert more visitors to your website just by improving the content. And let's do it. Let's dive straight in. Tip 1, change your website headline. Clarity is by far the most important thing for every page on your site. Is it clear and understandable? Now, this is a quote from Pep Lyer, who's from Conversion Excel, and he runs one of the most famous websites in the world related to how to increase sales through a website. And we've taken a lot of advice from him, actually, that he's given us in terms of how to build Tourism Tiger. But he says, don't try to be creative, don't try to be tricky, just be clear. And that especially applies to headlines. So the headline is the very first thing that nearly all visitors will see when they visit your website. The first thing is you need to make sure it's literal. So the initial headline should just be literally what you do, nothing else. If you're able to squeeze in a little bit of creativity in there, that's nice, but you don't want to lose that potential visitor because you've been overly creative, if that makes sense. So always make sure that any person who's visiting your website can instantly understand what you do. So don't put welcome to Bombo Tours or whatever your business name is, because that doesn't actually help people understand what you do. It's actually been shown to be one of the least effective headlines you can possibly put on your website. Yeah, I see it all the time. Don't put home, and also don't put no headline at all. You see, people are trying to decide whether your website is worth hanging around on. You need to show them that they've arrived at the right place, if that makes sense. So in terms of that, another thing that's worth mentioning is that many people who visit your website are going to be on slow connections. They need to know they've hit the right website, or else they're going to click back. Okay, so here's an example. This is a customer of ours, Lost Beach Tours in Jaco, Costa Rica. All it says is Jaco Tours and Adventures. And in the subheadline, it gives them a reason to hang around, which is rated #1 on TripAdvisor for Jaco, Costa Rica. This is a great balance of being literal and also showing a bit of what makes your business special. Another one which I found around the internet, this one is a very busy website, which I don't recommend to this level, but if you look down that image there where the pink arrows are pointing, you will see that it says walking tours of historic Charleston. Perfect. The headline is actually excellent as well, because it says, with 7th generation Charleston native Michael Truche, or Truche, not sure how to pronounce that, but that's a perfect balance of a literal headline and a subheadline that is designed to persuade. All right, so the next tip is that we need to incorporate credibility signals. And there's actually a laboratory that Stanford has, and it's called the Persuasion Technology Lab. And I'm not sure why they decided to call it the Persuasion Technology Lab. You can imagine that there was a pretty interesting meeting where that happened, but at the same time, they've given some very interesting tips about that. And in summary, your content needs to be, your company needs to be seen as active, credible, popular, trusted, and available. I've actually written a big blog post about the 10 points they put and how to apply it to each section of your website. We're going to be linking to that from the resources page. So first step, active. Are you able to take bookings? That's a key one. Recent content. Does it look like your website is out of date? Not just due to the design, but also due to the content on your site. Credible. So why are you an authority? So, for example, Michael's website just before, he was talking about how he's a 7th generation native of the area. Maybe you wrote a book. Maybe you qualified in some way. But it's important for people to see why your company is credible. The next one is that it's popular. Recently, when I was walking around Santiago with my fiance, we walked past a restaurant that was full to the brim on a Sunday afternoon. And my fiance said, "Wow, that looks delicious." And the thing is, we had no idea what that restaurant was even serving. Just because the restaurant was full, we trusted it. So popularity, if you could figure out a way to demonstrate that through many testimonials, by showing exactly how many people have trusted you in the past. for example, many photos of people who have been on your trips, and even saying how many people have been on your trips is all multiple ways to show that you're popular. The next one is that you're trusted. So do you have government licensing and approvals? Are you a member of a tourism association? All this sort of stuff needs to be clearly available on your site. The last one is available. So that comes back to the active file. So if you're available, you have many methods of contact, not just one. Not just a static contact form either. It's so good to be able to see phone numbers, address, contact forms, so people can see that you're actually available as a business with multiple methods of contact and available for live bookings. So another thing I need to mention here is that you need to filter all this content through your website, not just on the About page. So let's look at some more examples of some credibility signals. All right, so prizes and awards, media mentions, expertise and experience. For example, you might mention somewhere on your site that you have 40 years of combined experience on your team. You might use testimonials or review widgets. You might show your industry memberships, as I mentioned before. A great one is to show the amount of years you've been in business plus the number of customers you've had, such as 1,025 successful tours since 1991. And also celebrity guests are great. So here are two examples. This is La Bicicleta Verde, which is a company in Santiago. And as you can see with those pink arrows, Paul McCartney actually did a tour with their company. And do you think they let people forget about this? No, this is not stuck somewhere on the About page or in their media page. It's directly on their homepage. This is the tour that Paul McCartney chose. The next example is from a customer of ours, Escapegoat, which is a company in Australia. And as you can see, the headline is very literal, bike day trips from Adelaide. And then in the subheadline, we have all skill levels, 3,500 plus happy riders. Escapegoat is doing a great job at convincing the skeptical visitor and someone who's thinking about whether they should hang around or not, that they're a really popular company, they've been trusted by a lot of people, and they're worth using. Cool. So let's move on to the next tip, which is use hotjar.com. And we've recently blogged about this because Hotjar is definitely my newest favorite tool. I love this thing and I'm recommending it to everyone. And I'm going to show you an example rather than try to explain to you what it is about. So where are we? So right here, and hopefully this will work. I prepared it just before. Right here, you can see a video of someone navigating a website that we built for a company in Arizona called Taste It Tours. And what happens is that we can see someone actually navigating around the website. And for some reason, the video isn't deciding to play right now, but we're going to link to this in the resources page. And you're actually going to see a video that goes for 2 minutes of someone literally navigating around the website. And I recommend watching at least 40 videos of people using your website across all devices to really get an idea of how your visitors are faring. You will probably discover a whole bunch of problems that you did not even know you had. See, if you watch this video, like I did, is it apparent that we need to do a better job of helping people decide which tour to pick? Either that or reduce the amount of tours, as there is a lot of similarity between the products. Just by labeling a tour as the most popular, for example, can reduce a lot of confusion. Let's go to the next example. This is a heat map that we made of Escapegoat, that website that I talked about earlier, where we can see exactly where people are focusing their attention as they use the website. So if we look at this, we can very clearly see that the day trips page is very popular and the custom private trips page is not as popular. There's a good chance that maybe what we should be doing is moving mountain bike skills training or custom group trips up, because they both seem to be more popular than custom private trips, despite the fact that the custom private trips thing is right at the top there. So just by using this tool Hotjar, we have a link to an instructions actually about how you can set it up in the resource page. So you can figure it out that way. Just by using Hotjar, you can learn so much about how people see your website. And not just that, one of my biggest benefits that I see of using Hotjar is that you can actually have this experience of seeing your website through the visitor's eyes for the very first time again, if that makes sense. And you can see how, put yourself in their shoes, and instantly you'll understand, oh, yeah, yeah, I can, yeah, I need to fix this, I need to fix that, I need to fix this. Oh yes, it's obvious that this has been confusing. All right, next tip, choose incredible pictures. And this makes such an insane difference to the feeling of a website. Photos make a much bigger difference than you'd ever think. Web design nowadays has gone photo focused, especially ours as well. And the difference between a great photo and a mediocre photo is insane. I can take exactly the same website with two different photos, and one of them people go, oh yeah, it's okay, I guess. And with the other one, they'll be like, wow, that's an amazing website. If people think we made the difference with the web design, but the only difference that was the photos. So let's go through some tips. 1, use photos that show your value proposition clearly. BentigoSF.com is an amazing company in San Francisco, and they have some awesome images on their site, which bring out the unique spin they have on their business, which is day tours in VW vans. It's right there. You can get it straight away. Secondly, never use photos from a cloudy or semi-cloudy day. You always need to show the tour at its best level. Remember, this is someone's fantasy. This is something that people are trying to imagine here. You should help them imagine it with bright blue skies, because I know that I prefer that much more than anyone else, than any other type of photo, and I guarantee you that everyone else feels the same way. 3, make sure that you have incredibly high quality photos. So you can get great cameras for low cost nowadays, and pro photographers are actually quite affordable too. One thing, do not use an iPhone. We've had people try to bring iPhone photos to use on their websites, and while it may be the case that it works for photos that are in a gallery, for the principal photo of a tour, you need to have professional photos. So look at this from Surf Tours Nicaragua. They actually have their own camera, and this incredible photo shows someone learning to surf. And if you look at the right-hand side, there's a surf instructor who's just sent her down the wave. What an incredible photo that is. I can spend a lot of time talking about how amazing my experience is, but with that photo, I showed them in one. Here's another customer of ours, Tools Cavo. This is a company in Mexico. And you can see just from the photo, this amazing experience that is being had by someone there. I showed this website to someone, and their reaction was, I want to do that. And that is an emotional reaction that person had literally just from looking at the photo. It bonus points as well, because this photo makes it look accessible to anyone, because you can see she's a little bit nervous there, but she's having a great time. This is the sort of level of detail you need to get to when you're thinking about your photos. And the 5th point about photos is you need to use photos that people could envision using as their Facebook profile picture. And once again, coming back to a scapegoat, if you go around their website and you click on some of the tours, you will see that some of the photos they have a lot of people feeding kangaroos. Now, can you imagine if this guy made it his profile picture on Facebook, how many likes he would get? You might think, isn't this all a bit trivial? And yeah, maybe it is, but this is the way people actually think about their trips. They don't just think about the good time they're going to have, they also think about the good photos they're going to take and the memories they're going to take away. Maybe you don't think about that, but I can definitely tell you that I do think about that, and I don't think I'm in a minority there either. All right, let's keep on moving. Tip 5, use Webmaster Tools, but get usable information from it. So are you familiar with Google Webmaster Tools? I think many people are not, and many people are not sure what is the best thing to get out of it. Webmaster Tools, for those who don't know, is a tool from Google that provides you some information about how your website is performing in Google. I won't cover how to set it up, as we're going to put a link in our resources page to that topic. But the main thing that is very useful is that it gives you a lot of information about your performance in the Google search engine. So although there are limits, Google will show you all the main keywords where you are appearing in various searches, your average ranking for those searches. So are you at number 3 or are you at number 6 when someone searches that term? And how many people are actually clicking on your site after seeing it in the search results. So how is that useful? Well, this is a screenshot. I've blanked out some of the numbers because it's from our own Google Webmaster Tools account. And I found when I used it just a few days ago that the #1 search term that people are using to find my website, excluding Tourism Tiger as a brand name, is literally the term TripAdvisor algorithm. People are Googling this and coming to my website. You know what is actually interesting about that is that we are ranked #6 for that keyword. If you search for TripAdvisor algorithm, we're not in the top 5, yet it's our #1 traffic keyword. So maybe what I should do is publish some content specifically about the algorithm, or maybe I can adjust the page that's already ranking to see if I can get ranked #1. I can potentially include that term more times or make that content even better than it actually is. So your goal here, when you see that list of keywords, is to find keywords which have a decent amount of people searching for it, and your rankings are from positions 5 through to 30. Then you can try adjusting your content on your website and maybe adjusting your title tag on your website to see if you can increase your ranking in Google for that. And that is why we're going to talk about your title tag right now. It's funny though, adjusting your title tag doesn't just help you increase your rankings in Google. It can also increase the amount of traffic you get from Google without even increasing your rankings. And I'm going to show you that right now in tip #6, become familiar with title tags. So this is the title tag of a website. And as you can see, you have that pink arrow pointing to the title tag. And like I said, it is the most important thing that will affect your SEO traffic because, well, this is how title tags appear in Google. You'll see New York City running tours. You'll see city running tours. You'll see city running tours New York City. Those are the title tags of each one of those websites. And I'm going to give you an example of an actual company that's ranking just because of their title tag. So this is a search term, which is I've searched for Paris walking tours, and I scroll down and I see pariswalks.com and discoverwalks.com. But there's a website here called hiddenparis.com, and they're ranking about 6 or 7 for Paris walking tours because in their title tag it says Hidden Paris Walking Tours. So they've got their brand name, but they've also cleverly added walking tours onto the end of it. And I guarantee you they would not be in the top 10 of Google if their title tag did not say walking tours. So I'm going to give you a couple more tips right here. So first things first, don't just use your business name. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see. I see welcome to the business name or home or something like that. It has to be the most relevant search term for the specific thing you offer. I recommend including the business name and say one thing about what you do. So for example, Harco Tours and Adventures, and then the business name is what we've done on a client's website, or you might put, say, New York Walking Tours and then the name of your business. That is a great idea to do it. Second, you can take some inspiration from the work of other people. Let's just say you don't have the ability to do the research yourself to find out the best terms to target in order to get more traffic. What do? Well, you just run searches in your area and you see what other people are doing. You also look at your Webmaster Tools traffic. Also, run some searches for business just like yours in other cities. You might get some ideas. Because if you look at, for example, a similar business to yours in, say, London or New York, or a very popular safari destination like Kenya, you will find what people are doing to rank #1 in the most competitive search terms in the world. And that could give you some great ideas as well. The third tip, though, is to be realistic. If you're in New York, you will never get ranked in the top 5 for New York day tours, no matter how hard you try, because those results are dominated by very big companies. You should make your title tag something more unique, something more niche in that case, something that less people are searching for, but you have better probability of getting found for. Fourth, remember the humans. Sometimes you see people putting silly things like New York day tours, New York walking tours New York. Humans will actually see this because this is what Google shows in their search results. So make sure it's something attractive to humans. And I'm going to show you a great example of a company doing this in just a second. And following on from that, make it interesting to users as well. So I'm going to flick back to the Google search results here. If you search for London walking tours, you will find a company that is doing an amazing job. The #1 result is for walks.com. And you'll see that say London Walks, and then it says in quotes, first and best of the walking tour firms. And that's a quote from Fodor's, right? Which is a pretty famous company in terms of providing information about tourism. And what you see there is they've been very clever because they have the keywords London Walks. They also have the term walking tour, right? So London walking tour is in there. But it's very interesting because it's a quote from an actual reputable source. If you scroll down to londonwalks.com, you can see someone else has done this now. It's becoming a bit of a thing in London. London Walks. And there's a quote saying, London's best guided walks from Time Out. All right. So I've just been told that there's 15 minutes left. I might have to get a bit of a hurry on, but at the same time, I hope this is valuable to you as well. The next tip is the Google PageSpeed Insights trick. Has everyone heard of Google PageSpeed Insights? Google PageSpeed Insights is a tool that Google provides to help you assess the speed of your site through various metrics. Does it affect how much traffic you get from Google? Well, it is known that Google does take speed as a ranking signal, and it is considered to be growing in importance, but it is still just one of many, many factors. The reason speed really matters is because it actually affects how people experience your website. Because like I said, a lot of people who will navigate your website are on slow internet connections. And for every additional second that a website takes to load, you'll reduce your sales by several percent. The studies have shown this over and over again. So I'm going to show you what Google PageSpeed Insights looks like. This is an example for the bigonion.com. I literally just picked this website randomly, and you see that if you can go to Google PageSpeed Insights, we've linked to it actually from the resources page, but you can Google it yourself, Google PageSpeed Insights. You can put their web address there, and you can see that Google has a lot of suggestions for how to make the user experience better in terms of making the website load fast. You can see they show you mobile speed, and they also show you how usable your site is on mobile. And it should really be at least 98 out of 100. If your website, just by the way, if your website is not 98 out of 100 or more in terms of user experience on mobile, you need a new website straight away. You're losing sales right now. I promise you that this is what is happening. But let's keep on moving because we're talking about Google PageSpeed Insights. So we actually got a site from 51 out of 100 to 88 out of 100 on desktop, and I'll show you the proof. This was the score before, and this was the score afterwards. 51 out of 100 to 88 out of 100. And we did that in 20 minutes. I'm serious. I did that in 20 minutes. So what you'll see is that one of the biggest suggested things to fix was optimize images. And I'll show you how we can do that super simply. So we just go back to Google PageSpeed Insights, and there will be links to explaining this in the resources page. But if I scroll down here, well, the page is in Spanish because I'm in Santiago, but you can click download the HTML. So download the image, JavaScript, and CSS resources. You just click that link, and Google will actually provide you optimized images for your website. All you have to then do is upload those images to your website, replacing the images that are already there, and bang, your speed score should go up. Now, how much it goes up will depend a lot on how uncompressed or how unoptimized the images were in the first place. But like you just saw in that extreme example, we were able to go from 61 to 88. So if you want your website to load faster, and I'm sure you do, this is a great way to make it happen really quickly. Let's keep moving. And we have gone through a lot of info, so I'm just going to go through these next 3 tips really quickly. The next tip is the weapon principle. The weapon principle is a basic mentality about a website that everyone should have. So be aware that when groups are trying to pick something to do, there is internal debate as to what they should actually pick. So the big question is, will your website be a weapon in that argument? Another thing as well is that if I'm booking, say, for me and my fiance, every second of that booking, I want to make sure that I pick the right one. Because if it goes wrong, who gets the blame? Me. So I need to make sure that I pick the best provider that has all of those credibility signals, that has that incredible website, that has those amazing photos. Because if something does go wrong for that school secretary who just booked a trip for 40 children, if something does go wrong, she has to keep her job because she can show the website and say, look at that website, you would have made exactly the same decision that I would have made. You always need to have this mentality in terms of thinking about your website. So there's no excuses to have an outdated website or to have bad content anymore, or to have an about page that doesn't have a lot of information or doesn't have great photos or without showing testimonials, because all of those things add up to helping your website be a great weapon in that conversation. Let's keep on moving. So the more your trips actually cost, the more your about page matters. So I've analyzed the data of our clients, and clients that sell products that are less than $100 to $150 typically don't get that many visits to their about page. Those people who sell products that are $500 to $1,000 or even more get a lot of visits to the about page. In fact, the about page is generally one of their top 5 most visited pages on their entire website. In the resources page, I'm linking to something that I've written about pages, which gives you detailed tips about how to make that happen. But the key is to show personality and to show credibility. Final tip. Nearly all tour operators' websites that I've seen, they need to rewrite their tour descriptions. They're boring. There's too much text in big blocks. It's okay to have a lot of text. It's just not okay to have it in really big blocks. You need to break it up. And they're also lacking in photos. So it's not hard to fix these problems if you have a bit of a think about it and you know what you're doing. And luckily, you're going to know what you're doing because, like I said, in that resources page that we're just about to put the link to, I wrote a big post about how to write a great description. So just as we wrap up, no one deliberately makes a bad website. And this is why I started Tourism Tiger, because you've probably noticed that tourism businesses, accommodation, tours, and travel agents nearly always tend to have really terrible websites. They're out of date. They don't work on mobile. And it's not just an aesthetic thing. Think for a second about how these things affect sales. But that's what I mean. No one deliberately makes a bad website. No one goes out and says, I want to have the worst website I could possibly have. So if you think about it, something goes wrong in that process. From that point where you get a great new website and you're showing it to all your friends, to the point where that person has a terrible website, something has gone wrong. And it means that that tour operator, travel agent, or accommodation company has made a mistake. And not only that, they've made a mistake without realizing it. And it's not obvious because most tourism operators make this mistake. And the mistake is this, that is custom web design, really, to build websites that need to be maintained individually. And that is why we started Tourism Tiger, because all of our websites sit on the same system. So all of our websites stay fresh. And this is not a fantasy either. We've got customers on literally all continents on the world besides Antarctica. And we literally make constant improvements to their websites. So I'm not going to say anything more in terms of sales spiel or anything like that, but we would love to build your website as well. We're very affordable. Like I said, we know how to build effective websites. You've seen the proof. And yeah, let's keep on moving. Thank you so much for coming. The resources page is going to be available at tourismtiger.com/workshop1. And that is the digit 1. So tourismtiger.com/workshop1. On that page, you'll get a full list of links related to the resources mentioned. You'll also get a download link to that free gift that I mentioned, my book. I spent a lot of time writing that book, by the way. It's a 300-page book, and you can download it for free, the PDF version. And obviously, a 5-star review on Amazon would be very much appreciated. But lastly, obviously, we would love to work with you. So to book a call, all you need to do is go to tourismtiger.com and click book a call. And yeah, that's about it. So let's start with the Q&A. I'm sure there's a lot of questions. And I'm looking forward to diving in and seeing what people have to say. And like I said, there is a bit of a time delay. So it could be the case that... Okay. That could be the case that there might be a delay here. Now, one thing I should mention is that during the presentation, I didn't actually share about how to adjust your title tag. And this is something that if you are on WordPress, if you Google WordPress SEO plugin, the number one result there, just install that plugin on your website. And then on every single page, if you scroll down, you're going to have the options to do that. Now, Kelsey Tonner has just chimed in and said, fantastic, Matt, great presentation. And Kelsey's from beabetterguide.com. So if you just Google Be a Better Guide, Kelsey makes amazing content, hugely recommended content from us. I mean, well, you know, it's not from us, but we recommend that, and you can check it out. He's got amazing videos, amazing blog posts. I think he's the best person in the industry to turn to if you're looking to improve your guides, because your guides will the quality of your tour guides, whether it's yourself or someone else, will determine how many 5-star reviews you get on TripAdvisor. Okay, Michelle says, I'm new in the travel business. How can I build credibility? And that's a really good question, actually. And obviously, this is something that comes over time. But what you should definitely be doing is looking to get local newspaper resources, for example, doing a bit of local public relations, firstly. Secondly, take some people on tours, friends, whoever they are, just get as many people on tours early on as quick as you can, so you can get some great reviews, so you can get some great photos. If you have local city experts who have blogs about your city, get them on free tours and get them to blog about it. And then you can link to their blog post, obviously, from your website. That's a really, really great way to start. Okay, Sarah, how do you build an online booking portal? Hotel booking portal. That's actually something that I'm not hugely qualified in, because we build websites for individual hotels. So I'm afraid that I'm not a huge expert on that one. Okay, Oliver says, can I see how well individual pages are doing on my website, like blog posts, or does Google Analytics just give me information about my main page? Absolutely. So if you go to Google Analytics, and you'll see on the left-hand menu there's various things. So you can look at acquisition, you can look at audience and stuff like that. And I believe, and I would try to navigate right now, but obviously my screen's showing that Q&A thing. So if you go through Google Analytics and you go to audience, and if you go to content drill down, and if you go to landing pages, you will see, if you go to landing pages, for example, where people start their journey. So you'll see which pages people are arriving at. And by using segments, so there's a thing at the top there on that screen in Google Analytics where you can click Add New Segment, and so you can actually see specifically all your search engine visitors are landing on which pages, so you can learn which pages are popular, which ones have high bounce rates and stuff like that. All right, Rich says, very nice and informative. Thank you, Rich. All right, so Kelsey says, thanks for the shout out, Matt. Any recommendations for optimizing your TripAdvisor profiles or other online profiles that aren't your website? So in terms of that one, obviously the first thing I mentioned with TripAdvisor is that you should always be responding to all reviews. The second thing is you need to make sure that there are photos on there, and then they're great photos. Third thing, you need to make sure that all of the details on your TripAdvisor page or Yelp or whatever are full. You basically, like I said before, to build those credibility signals, you need to look like you're an active, available business. And this is a huge mistake. On TripAdvisor, people often get this right. But on other websites, they just kind of leave it neglected. I see this all the time on Yelp. And there's many local sort of tour directories out there where I see people making this mistake all the time. Another thing with TripAdvisor as well is you should really be gunning hard, obviously, to get as many possible reviews as possible. You need to explain to your guests as well that if you get a 4-star review, that this is actually going to bring down your average score, especially obviously if your average review score is above 4. And people don't understand that. People often think that 4 is like a nice balanced review. No, 4 is actually a review that hurts your business, and people need to understand that as well. All right, guest 7186 says, thanks, fantastic. Okay, guest 8, well, thank you. Guest 7186, guest 8643 says, hey, Matthew, how can I link my travel website on TripAdvisor? And if you just Google list my business on TripAdvisor, one of the very first results is a link that TripAdvisor actually has on their website where you can submit your travel business. The thing is, you need to make sure that your business fits the criteria for TripAdvisor. So you get a lot of travel agents, for example, and say tour resellers who don't actually offer tours trying to submit to TripAdvisor, but TripAdvisor doesn't actually allow that. So if your business focuses on reselling other people's tours, what you should be doing is either making it so that's not so obvious, or secondly, you need to at least have one regularly departing day tour in your city or in your region, and that will actually help TripAdvisor verify that you're a legitimate day tour operator. I've actually received a few emails in the last few months from multi-day tour operators saying, I can't get onto TripAdvisor. Well, this is how you do it. You need to offer a single one-day tour that regularly departs, and that is how you'll get on there. All right, Gary says, thanks, Matt. Good presentation. What's your thoughts on getting testimonials? What's a good approach to collect them, and where should I put them on the page? So the first thing you need to be making sure you're doing is you request them in person, firstly. Secondly, you need to make sure to follow up by email. And I've seen advice out there saying you should wait till people get home from their trip. I think that's completely incorrect. I think you should request it by email very quickly. And the way you do it, actually, and I learned this from tourcms.com, so thanks to tourcms.com for sharing this with me, is that in the subject line, you don't say, can you please leave me a testimonial? You say about your trip or something like that, or photos of your trip. And that causes people to open the email, they see the link. And a super ninja tip that you can do is that you can direct them to your website to get that initial feedback where it says, were you happy with your trip? Yes or no. If it says no, it directs it to a form on your own website where they can say what they were unhappy about. If they say yes, they're happy, you'll have a message saying, we're so happy you're happy. Please share this on TripAdvisor because it makes a huge difference on our website. And then they get directed to TripAdvisor. So this is the way advanced companies are doing it. Okay, where are we? Tisha says, how can you delete in Google Analytics info that is not of use to you? You stated you can add, can you also delete? Okay, you cannot actually delete info from Google Analytics, but you can use what are known as filters, and it's a bit hard to explain it, but if you Google it, you'll find some information about it. Unfortunately, like let's just say you want to filter, you don't want to see any visitors from Russia because you get a lot of spam comment people from Russia, for example. You can actually create a filter so that actually happens. The thing is, it won't apply it to past results, or only apply it to future results. So we apply a lot of filters for our customers actually, because a lot of spam visitors are coming through analytics. So that's one way to clean it up. Kelsey says, what are the 3 most common mistakes you see tour guide companies making with their websites? Well, the first big one is that it's not optimized for mobile. That's a huge one nowadays. The second one is that people have websites that don't have those credibility signals that I talked about. So basically, what makes you special? It's not like you're the only choice that someone can have, right? So what makes your tour special? You need credibility signals are not just those media mentions or testimonials. They're also the incredible photos that you have, because every single little bit of detail affects how people perceive you. It applies all around the world, but it most especially applies to tour companies which are in developing countries, because Western visitors are trying to look for a business that has quality and screams quality through their website. They're super scared of dying in traffic accidents and being uncomfortable during their trip. So credibility signals across the board, like I said, extremely important, but even more important in developing countries. The third thing that I should mention, and there's a lot of different things that are coming to my head, but I'm just going to go with that. It's not obvious. So information needs to be clear, and not just by clear in terms of it's easy to understand, but also easy to understand from are your fonts too small? Are the colors? So you might have so many people make this mistake that they put text on a blue background, or they put text on a black background. Generally, the content of your tours should be written with black text on a white background in a readable font, and not just readable for a 10-year-old who has perfect eyesight, readable for someone who's 80 years old, drunk, and in need of laser eye surgery. All right. Ellen says, thanks, Matt. I want to start a new series of writing retreats. I already have a website that is more informational than anything else. It still has good following and brand recognition. If you build me a new website for the retreats, could it still be linked back to my brand? Yeah, absolutely, Ellen. I'm happy to chat about with you afterwards. Next one, Kelsey. I like that idea of directing people to a yes or no question. You can easily build your own company and survey in Google Forms for free. Absolutely, that's a great tip. Or direct them to TripAdvisor if they're ready to give you a 5-star review. So obviously this depends on the scale of your company. Like if you're manually emailing people after the trip and you know they're super happy, just send them that email saying with some photos of the trip and say, look, Gary, I'm happy you had a great time. Please leave a review, a 5-star review on my business. It's literally the number one thing that affects whether my business will stay alive in the future or not. Maybe not that dramatic, but something that is pretty powerful. And if you download the free book, by the way, everyone who's asking about questions about TripAdvisor and reviews, if you just download my free book, it goes into a lot of this. And one way to collect more free reviews more reviews is to have it as an automated process. And it's a lot easier if you took tour booking software. Michelle says, how often as a tour operator owner should I respond to TripAdvisor reviews? You should respond to all of them, and you should log on every single morning and respond to them first thing, because we don't have the statistics about tours, but we do have the statistics about accommodation. Like I mentioned earlier in the presentation, and TripAdvisor's own stats say that obviously the number one thing that moves the needle is the average review rating, but their own stats show that just by responding to all your reviews, you can increase your booking inquiries on accommodation by up to 24%. And I think that this would definitely apply to tours, because accommodation is generally an anonymous experience. You stay in a room. But if I go on a tour, that means I'm actually going to be spending hours of my life with this person, especially if it's a private tour or a small tour, which means I really want to know I can trust that person to be not boring and give me an amazing time. So based on that, I should also talk about how you should respond to TripAdvisor reviews. And this is, once again, it's great when people respond to reviews, but most people get it really incorrect. Okay, most people get it super incorrect. And what happens here is that people respond overly formally. So they say, "Dear Michelle, on behalf of Kabombo Tours, I would like to take the time to thank you for your appreciated review. La la la. We spent a lot of time on our tours ensuring guest satisfaction," and all that kind of stuff. No, it should be super personal and demonstrate you have relationship with the person who came through. So, hey Gary, awesome. So thank you so much for this 5-star review. We had a great time with you and your wife. Hope you had a great birthday trip. Hoping to take you on an amazing birthday trip next year as well. Matt, right? That shows that you actually built a personal connection with that person. And that's about it. So I've answered all the questions. I hope that was super valuable for everyone who came through that. If you are interested in having a chat with me, just go to tourismtiger.com and click book a call. As you can see above the chat window, it says that book a call. Anyway, we'll be super happy to work with you, and we're going to be putting more online workshops on in the future. So once again, thanks for coming along, and yeah, any feedback, send it across to Matthew@tourismtiger.com, and I'll link to that resources page once again, tourismtiger.com/workshop1. Thank you very much.